I'm not sure where all this sawdust keeps appearing from. I'm cutting all my wood outside, and for some mystical reason, I guess it's when a lot of the sawdust clings to the wood after you've cut it, because we seem to have more sawdust in here than we do when we actually cutting the wood. Go figure. Rightio, so today is bathroom making day. Yay, it's the one I've been trying to avoid the most. Reason being is, as you can see, our wall is going on an angle. So all I'm doing at the moment is building all the framework, but you've kind of got to do it in pieces. So you've got to measure all your wood up, pull it out almost and put the frame together, and then put it back into place. Otherwise the screwdriver or the drill won't be able to get into the areas where you need to screw it up. The other thing we need to work out too is where our drain hole is going. So what I've done is I've cut a piece of wood, which I'm going to have to recut because I worked it out wrong and I forgot that we've got to put another frame in here yet. So it's got to come out this little bit further, so it'll sit in there. We're going to have to get a hole right in the centre, and we're going to drop the drain hole down into that piece of wood. And then the next thing, or the next challenge, is because the water has to run to the drain hole, and so we've cut our floor here out of some 12mm ply, because we did think of just putting a shower tray in, but the shower trays are all really big. The other thought we had was fiberglassing our floor, but what we did in our last bus, if you can see this black stuff, which is bitumen, so what I'm doing is raising the floor here slightly, and then basically this piece will lay down top edge and run down on a slight angle and meet up with the edge of this piece, because our bus has a natural lean sort of forward. And hopefully the water will run, if you get what I'm saying, will run down and off. But we've had to do it because we've also got an angled wall. It's kind of stretching the old grey matter a little bit just to make sure it fits right, runs in the right direction and all that good stuff. And then what we'll do basically is bitumen the floor, and then we're going to use lino. Some people would say no. We say yes, we've used it before in our last bus and it works brilliantly. As long as you waterproof and seal everything first, and then get a really good lino glue that's waterproof, and put your lino down, because you can fold it up and have creases. And then what we did is we siliconed up in the corners, but we'll show you that when it's done. And we never had any leaks in our old bus. It just worked absolutely brilliantly. So we're going to do the same again, because that way you can build your shower tray as big or as small or whatever shape you want. And because we have an unusual shape for our bathroom, it works, hopefully will work really well. And that's bathroom wall frame number 1 up. That's not too bad. Very simple. Now we've got to cut out, this is the bit I love, is cutting out the ply to go on the sides, because we've got to follow our round roof again, and this time we've got to follow into our window. So yeah, I love challenges. Actually, I'm completely over them, to be honest, but oh well, we're getting there. That's the main thing, and it's always nice when you see progress. So we're going to be running all our plumbing under the bus, because to me that just makes it a whole lot more accessible. I don't know if that's standard for all buses, but we can just run straight down through the floor. This is going to be our shower taps up here. They'll soon be sitting up here. Where are we? Here. And have our hot and cold coming up, which will feed down under the bus, feed to our what do you call them, hot water cylinder, I can't think of the name right now, colophon, and then we'll run off to the tanks under our bus as well, with the pump. I think we'll put the pump down underneath in its own little box or something. And that way we have less noise in the bus, because with the fridge we've got, it also, the motor runs under, it sits under your bus, so it'll be a whole lot quieter on the inside, a bit noisier for the neighbours. But actually our pump is really, we've got a quiet pump, which is really good. So yeah, so we'll just run it all under the bus, because that way it's just a lot easier to get to if there's any problems. Hopefully there's no problems at the actual taps, because that means taking the wall off. But we'll try and cover as much as the plumbing as possible. I don't know how much we'll get done this week. The only reason I've started running this lot into the bathroom is because Cindy's really keen to get the bathroom fitted. Well, actually we're both keen to get the bus finished, but before I can start lining any of the walls, we have to have all our plumbing in anyway. So it's going to be sort of a mixture of running pipes and putting walls up this week, I think. So yeah, yay. So it is absolutely pouring down with rain today, so I was going to cut some walls out for the bathroom, but because it's raining we do all the sawing mostly outside, so I'm having a break from doing bathroom walls today, and we need to get some lights in. On one of the older videos I mentioned that we've got these from a barber shop, I think we got them from, and we got a whole bunch of them for like 10 bucks. And so what I've done is, or doing, is taking the 240 volt bulb fittings out, because that's no good to us, because obviously we're going to be 12 volts for our lighting. And what I've done is I've brought, you can buy these little, these are the halogen, little halogen bulb, 12 volt halogens, and their fittings that they fit into. Excuse me. So it just plugs in and you've got a bulb. So what we've done is, now that I've taken the fittings out of here, we've got this end with some holes around, so I've just made this that fits nicely inside in that hole, and then we'll just screw it around here, and that will basically be, what I'll do then is take the bulbs, they'll get fed up through here, so fed through like so, and then that I'll fit that, screw that on, fit that on. It's a little ceramic fitting on there, so that'll sit nicely against there like that, and then obviously we'll feed up through, and that should just fit nicely, and then so that goes in there, and we've got our 12 volt bulbs and our lamps, and I'm going to fit them up. They'll fit up quite high on the roof, but what I'm going to do, basically, we can give it away, I was going to show you when it's done, but basically what we're going to do then is I'm going to get some copper tubing, which is going to bend around, go down, you know, follow the line of the roof and down the wall to our 12 volt wiring, and we'll just feed the cable through and connect it up, and we will have our 12 volt lighting in our bus. We're trying to get one of our water tanks under the bus, but the side of the bus is too low. There's heaps of room under the bus, and if we could bring it from the back it would work, but the differential was in the way, so we can't get past that. So this is our setup to try and get the side of the bus up as high as possible, and then literally roll the barrel under the bus, and then when I come back down the ramp, Cindy's going to have to push the barrel back where the gap is. So it's we did talk about putting our tanks in before we put the floor down, but in reality there was still a lot of steel framing that the tanks more than likely wouldn't have fitted through anyway. Plus at that time we weren't sure where we were going to put all our tanks. So yeah, challenge on. So plan A didn't work with the ramps, so we've got a plan B possibly. We're just going to go and check it out now. So plan B, we've found this hole. You probably can't hear me very well today because of the wind, but we have found a hole. So we're just going to get the neighbour moved the car, and we're going to drive in alongside the hole, turn my wheels suddenly, and try and get the side of the bus diagonally across the hole. Hopefully we can get a barrel under.
Yep, she said that's fine.
Great. Have you got keys, or is she coming out to do it?
She's going to move that in a minute.
Okay. So I'll get
Apparently the kids dug that hole and they made it into a bike ramp.
Oh, brilliant. That works perfectly. Well, hopefully it works perfectly. Might not be deep enough, but we could dig it a little deeper, or we could just put blocks, yeah, ramp as well.
Okay, should we go?
Right, off to get the bus. And plan B works. So this hole was dug by the neighbour's kids for a BMX ramp, and it has turned out that it works perfectly to drive over it and roll a barrel up under a bus. So that's the result. Right, so we've got our water tank underneath now. We're back in kind of a sheltered area, but we had heaps of plumbing and bits and pieces out of the bus when we first pulled it apart. So we're going to use some of them, because you'll notice there's a hole, I don't know if you can see that, try and bring it into the light, there in the tank. So that's going to be on the top of the tank, because you need, when you're putting your freshwater tank in, you need to have a breather hole. So when you're filling it, the pressure, there's no pressure build up on the tank. It comes out the air vent at the top. On our last bus, all we did was we ran, so where the water fed in, we actually just ran a breather pipe off the side, and that seemed to work really well. But because this container's already got a hole in the top, we're just going to utilise that as our breather. So I've just taken a piece of this, I'm cutting it down to size, so this is going to go in silicone into the tank, and this will just run along the top edge of the tank out the back, and that will be our breather pipe for our freshwater tank. And then the other thing you need, I don't know how much we'll be able to see under here, so this will be a filler that'll be up the top. We'll put a hole through the side of the bus with a hose to that, and then our outlet will be here. Oh, have I got the camera on there right? Yeah, over here will be our outlet, so that'll be sitting at the bottom of the tank, and we'll hook up to our cold water supply, and it will go from the tank to the pump, will be the very first thing. And then once we've been to the pump, then we start teeing off to different places like the calaphon, the kitchen sink, shower, and all that kind of stuff. So we get the pump will pull the cold water initially out of the tank, the freshwater tank, and it will feed it off to the cold taps around the bus, and then we'll have a line that feeds into the calaphon, so cold water into the calaphon, and then our hot water plumbing to all the taps and stuff in the bus will come from the calaphon then. So hopefully that makes sense. And we've got our water pump here. Sorry about the shadows and stuff, it's very hot and sunny out here. So we'll put our water pump in. I'm going to fit it into a unit, a box or something under the bus. The thing I've noticed with this pump, because it came with the bus, is that it's 24 volt, which is fine, because fortunately this bus has a 24 volt system as well, because of the engine that was put in it years and years ago. Because I don't know if I've mentioned, but these buses, I think they used to come with a 3.5 litre engine, and the guy that we brought this bus off actually swapped the motor out years ago with a 6 litre Hino truck engine. So she honks along pretty well and climbs up the hills real easy. So to run that engine, he's had to add a 24 volt system. So that's worked out for using it, which is why I guess he put this pump in. So it's a quiet pump. So we're going to use that. And then for our plumbing, we've actually, because this is our cold water hose, we've got red for our hot water hose. But we're using something called, I think it's called Quick Fit or something like that plumbing. So you don't have to put your hemp on, and you don't, you know, all that kind of stuff, and your plumbing tape and your solvents and stuff like that. You literally, it's really quite cool. So what we have is, this is the Quick Fit, and it just screws onto your fitting that you're going to be using. In this case I'm using this one because it fits on the end of that barrel. And if you have a look in here, you can see, I don't know if you can see that, can you see that? There's little teeth, and all you do is literally just slide your pipe in. I'm not going to push it all the way, because once it's in, and that just grips in there and seals, and it's that easy to fit your plumbing. Boom, done. And so we've got these on all our tap ends of our tap fittings and stuff like that. So it certainly makes life a lot easier and a lot quicker. Hopefully they work well. We'll let you know. I did use some in our old bus and they seem to work fine, so yeah, should be all good. Alright, so basically this is our freshwater tank that we put in the other day, and it's running through a pipe that comes up and goes straight into, I don't know if you can see that, oh yep, straight up into the pump here, and then feeding through, and then that feeds back out again, so that'll pull the water from the barrel and feed it to all the pipes. And then so this is where the pump comes out, the back of the pump, so into the pump, out of the pump, and then feeds off. And we've got a pipe running down the back, and that comes up to the shower, and then I've put a tee off to across to the telephone. Oops. And then if you look over up here, see if we can get that. So we've come, so this is our out, come up. Oh, come on this way to show you. And it goes to a T join here. So I've just cable tied that all down, and that's feeding across and goes up. I don't know if you can see, goes up through the floor. So that's the cold feeding up to our kitchen tap. And then this will be the hot, which I'm feeding through. We'll bring back and run along this side, and then we'll feed it up the floor. Sorry, I'm a bit all over the place with the camera. Then it'll feed up the floor to the caliphant. So the caliphant will then feed this hot water pipe, and then of course we'll have the pipe that will run across up to the kitchen, upside down. But there you go. So that's the basics of the plumbing. So we basically have our pump in first, which feeds your cold off to all your cold taps and your caliphant, and then your hot comes out of your caliphant and feeds off to all your hot taps. And that should, by rights, be the plumbing done on our bus, apart from drainage, which we'll do after I've plumbed the running water. So, but we'll just have to be careful not to turn any taps on until the drains are in, or we could be in trouble.